Hey folks, welcome into NFL Daily. Cam Rogers with you alongside Tom Downey. A lot to get through throughout the program here. We'll start things off in the only way we can, Tom. Dez Bryant, he is still without a team. This man is unemployed, and why the heck is he?
I'm not really sure. Probably because, he's a bit of a diva at times. He can be a handful to manage. NFL teams already made their additions at wide receiver. But, Cam, there are some new updated Dez Bryant odds, including what you and I thought was a surprise at the #1 spot.
It's interesting. One of the previous episodes, we ranked the teams for Dez Bryant, our personal rankings. Now we're going to go through the Vegas odds here.
The moneymakers.
Yes, exactly. And it's interesting looking at the comparisons between our rankings and the odds. So as we go through these odds, we'll point out the teams that we had lower than Vegas and what have you. So
there was one team we were exactly the same on, and several we were right alongside each other too.
All right, so the situation with Dez Bryant is as follows, and this is my understanding, Tom. He's taking his time with where he goes next. He wants a one-year prove-it type of deal that will eventually lead to something more lucrative. Dez Bryant obviously not going to the Dallas Cowboys. We can cross that off. He wants to play the Cowboys twice a year, so the Giants, the Redskins, the Eagles make some sense here. But he also wants to go to a contender. This guy is a little bit older now, and you would think that maybe a New England or 49ers would be attractive.
He wants to go to a team that A, can help him win, that can help him put up some good numbers on a one-year prove-it deal, and then cash in again next offseason with a bigger long-term deal, and likely on a team that's also a contender team as well. And if you can play the Cowboys twice a year, every year going forward, that's just icing on the cake.
So it's a mystery in a sense in terms of why Dez Bryant is unsigned. We can all have our own theories and we can all follow all the rumors, but we want you guys weighing in.
A little bit of truth to it as well. I think in the end, it's a multitude of various things here. It's that NFL teams already signed a lot of their top receivers. If you already have the bottom of your roster filled out at receiver, if you have a number 1, number 2, number 3 guy, you're not going to bring in Dez to be your fourth because you want that guy, and normally to be a younger guy who's going to help on special teams. That's not what Dez Bryant does these days. So the pool of teams is much more smaller than it would have been at the beginning of the offseason, and that's a big reason why Dez is unsigned. Plus, wasn't exactly all that great at times last year. Battled through quite a few drops.
All right, hit us up in comments, folks, on Facebook Live. Be sure to let us know what you think about Dez Bryant. It's time to get into these Vegas odds here. And we'll start things off with the field. So the teams that we don't talk about the rest of the show here,
half of them,
big time odds, plus 3,000, 30 to 1, however you want to look at it. And obviously the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Jaguars, the Broncos, the Patriots, the Seahawks, the list goes on, not part of this field, but the Colts are. Am I wrong?
And the Saints as well, which was really surprising to me. And I guess maybe Vegas is trying to throw in a couple of teams that make some sense. They don't think Dez is going to sign with. They're trying to get some bets to go on the field side of things. But you got half the NFL teams out there. It makes some sense that Dez isn't going to go to a team like the Cowboys, for example, or a bunch of other teams like the Jets that just don't need a wide receiver right now. But the field, I guess it makes sense that they have the lowest odds there, given we're at this point of the year, and there are 16 teams that actually make more sense for Dez Bryant than other ones out there.
These odds are up to the second, so we're keeping you guys updated here. Let's get to the first team off the board, and we've got the Philadelphia Eagles at 18 to 1 odds. This falls into the narrative that Dez wants to play the Cowboys twice a year, Tom, but the salary cap space is a problem.
They were 13th on our list. They're 15th here, or tied 15th, so 16th, whatever you want to call it there. So we're kind of in the same mold.
We're around there,
It makes sense because Philadelphia, they just don't need to bring in another wide receiver. They have enough guys there. And Cam, you mentioned earlier, the money doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them. And that's a problem for Philadelphia. And you kind of go through their receiver depth chart as well. They're fine. Like, they aren't in desperate need of getting another wide receiver out there. They have Alshon Jeffrey. They brought in Mike Wallace. They're very high on guys like Matt Collins and Shelton Gibson. They don't need Dez to come in and be the number 3 option. They don't have a lot of money. They'll hold off on giving Bryant a contract and look elsewhere. Just in case there are other injuries, they can use that money elsewhere because they don't have a whole lot to play with right now.
All right, so 18 to 1 odds for the Eagles. Same can be said here about the Carolina Panthers, a team that acquired a former Eagle in Torrey Smith via a trade. Now, I will say this, Tom. Cam Newton to Dez Bryant is tempting as a general football fan to see in the red zone.
Exactly. I think that'd be a fun fit for Carolina and Dez, but the addition of DJ Moore, I thought, really dropped Carolina down the list. They were 14th on ours, so again, we're very much on the same page there. But the issue with Carolina, I don't think they want to bring in another wide receiver. They want to have DJ Moore be a key player. Devin Funchess kind of plays that Dez Bryant role at this point in their careers. Torrey Smith is their deep threat, and Curtis Samuel can be kind of a slot, almost halfback type player for them.
All right, so hypothetical situation. If Dez is there on the squad, here's a look at the top weapons for Carolina.
It's fun in Madden.
It is fun.
It's really fun
no
in Madden.
doubt.
I just don't know if it makes enough sense for Carolina because they want to give all those top 3 guys touches. They want to give Torrey Smith, catches as well. I don't think there are enough touches to go around for Dez Bryant to join Carolina. That's why they're outside of the top 10 for both us and Vegas.
All right, so we got the field at plus 3,000, the Eagles at plus 1,800, as well as the Carolina Panthers at plus 1,800 here. As you guys continue to watch NFL Daily presented by Man Crates, we've got the Denver Broncos at 15-1 odds. The Denver Broncos were a squad, Tom, that we had at number 31 in our rankings.
Look, in reality, once we got out to the top 20, 21, 22 to 30, 31, didn't really make much of a difference in the order. But this makes no sense. I am stunned that Denver has 15-1 odds and they're in the top 15 because who are they going to get rid of to add Dez Bryant? They have Demaryius Thomas. They have Emmanuel Sanders. They drafted Carlos Henderson last year. They drafted Cortland Sutton this year. Why would you, if you're Denver, bring on another receiver? You already have too many guys as it is.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make much sense for me. I'm not throwing any money down whatsoever on this number, and I agree with you. It makes zero sense in any respect. Now, for Dez Bryant in general, he wants to go to a contender. I think the Denver Broncos will be a low-key playoff type of team this coming season, but any interest from the Denver Broncos, it's just been non-existent. So that's the other thing we got to point to here is a phone works 2 ways. If Dez Bryant is showing interest for the Broncos, for example, and they're not showing any for him, it doesn't matter what Dez thinks.
And look, here's the depth chart for Denver. Sanders, Thomas, Sutton, Henderson, Deshaun Hamilton. They took a late round, or I guess a mid-late round pick on Isaiah McKenzie last year. Jordan Leslie, Jordan Taylor. They just don't need to bring in Dez Bryant. They already have too many bodies at wide receiver there. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm stunned that they're so high.
All right, let's take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have plus 1,300 odds to land Dez Bryant. They got enough wide receivers, Tom. No thanks for me.
I thought they made perfect sense if they hadn't signed Dante Moncrief. Marquise Lee, DJ Chark, D.D. Westbrook, Keelan Cole, Jaden Mickens, Rashawn Green. I do like Alan Lazard, but he's like a poor man's version of Dez Bryant even now.
Yep.
One YouTube commenter said we were too mean on the Jaguars wide receiver core. Like, it's fine, but as you said, they're a bunch of number 2s.
Bunch of number 2s.
And I also don't like Dante Moncrief at all. So
I actually like Moncrief more than you do.
You can believe in Dante Moncrief.
I kind of
always
believe.
This year. It's just like Dwight Howard in the NBA.
I swear it's happening.
This is the year Dante Moncrief breaks out. We'll see.
So, hypothetical scenario. Here is the rundown with the top weapons with Dez Bryant
I think he'd
there.
be the best guy on that team at receiver. I really do.
You have an argument. I'll give you that.
This is based on passing, and that's why Fournette's 5th and not the 1st.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get all the touches on the ground, not so much in the passing game.
Yeah, so the Jacksonville Jaguars, 13-1 odds, number 15 in our rankings there, Tom. Let's go to the Arizona Cardinals. We got plus 1,200 odds for them. Now, here's where I might throw down some money, because after Larry Fitzgerald, you got J.J. Nelson, Christian Kirk.
I like
That's
Christian
really
Kirk.
It.
Bryce Butler,
that guy.
Who was worse than Dez Bryant. So, why not have a worse version of the player that you could sign, right?
Chad Williams. Seriously,
Yeah,
I'm throwing money down on the Cards, man.
They were 10th in our ranks. It makes some sense, but I don't know if it makes as much sense for Dez Bryant.
Sure.
Does he want to go play with an injury-prone Sam Bradford or a rookie Josh Rosen? Is that going to be the team that gets him the most money next offseason? I don't think so. I think that's why you see a guy like Dez Bryant wait and say, you know what, let's see what else happens. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe a team decides, hey, this rookie has not panned out the way we thought he was going to, at least in year 1. Let's bring him in. So I think Arizona and Dez could be a match. I think it's more of a, let's come back and revisit it. And, if we're not married at age 35, we'll get hitched.
That's fair. Well, I'll
That's
tell you
what that is.
I'll tell you what. I like the Cardinals right now better than the team we're going to talk about here, which has the same number, 1,200 odds, the Oakland Raiders. And they brought in Martavis Bryant via a trade. They have Jordy Nelson there as well. Amari Cooper, too. The Oakland Raiders have no need to bring in Dez Bryant. There is an argument to be made that Dez Bryant should be with the Arizona Cardinals more so than the Oakland Raiders, Tom. So, I mean, it doesn't really add up.
I don't know why Oakland's so high. Maybe this is one of those name brand teams that just always have higher odds than everyone else.
That's it.
That's kind of what I suspect.
The John Gruden factor, too. I mean, he has shown aggressiveness, and the Raiders' leadership has shown aggressiveness for bringing in players, like I mentioned, Martavis Bryant. And
we'll talk about Martavis Bryant. If he gets suspended, maybe it makes more sense.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
They can't find a taker for Seth Roberts because no one wants that contract. They're going to have Dwayne Harris and maybe Johnny Holton, be special teams guys. So I just don't think it makes sense for Oakland.
Heck,
I was surprised they were 12-1.
I mean, they brought in Doug Martin, so anything is possible with the Oakland Raiders there. So in terms of the Raiders and their top weapons here, where does Dez Bryant actually fall? Because Crabtree's no longer there. Cooper's coming off an iffy year.
I kind of think I don't know what you would expect from Marshawn Lynch and the halfbacks overall in the passing game, but I think he'd be up there. But the question is, Bryant's going to be that deep threat. Do you have enough touches to go around for Cooper, Nelson, Martavis Bryant, and then tight end Jared Cook as well? I don't think so.
All right.
I just don't think there are enough mouths to feed there.
Okay, so let's summarize the latest odds for Dez Bryant as we stand right now. You got the field at 30-1, the Eagles at 18-1, the Carolina Panthers at 18-1 as well. Denver, Jacksonville, Arizona, and Oakland, 15, 13, 12, and 12 respectively. We thank Man Crates for sponsoring NFL Daily here today. All right, let's take a look at the next team on our list, and it made some sense until they brought in Brandon Marshall. Plus 1,000, Seattle.
I still think it makes sense, but I'm also a crazy person, Cam, because I don't think Brandon Marshall is good. And by good, I mean at all. I just don't think he's a good player at this point in his NFL career anymore.
So the question is, why did they bring in and sign Brandon Marshall and not even give a look to Dez Bryant?
Because they're trying to go cheap, and because Seattle, frankly, has made some weird personnel decisions the past few years.
That's fair.
I don't want to be too hateful on Seattle there, but I think that they want Brandon Marshall to be a better red zone threat, and because of his size, maybe that could end up being a fit there for Seattle. And I think in the end, Marshall knows he's going to be a lesser option in Seattle. He's not going to be the top guy. Baldwin, Lockett, even Brown and Darboh, I think could be above them. Maybe even a guy like Marcus Johnson. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Plus, I do think Brandon Marshall was willing to sign for far less money than Dez Bryant was considering.
All right, so if Dez is in town, you got Baldwin, Rashad Penny, can't believe they drafted him, Dez Bryant, Tyler Lockett, Jerron Brown there to round out the wide receiver core. Jimmy Graham's no longer there. Maybe Dez can fill that red zone kind of void.
I think it makes some sense. I'm not surprised to see Seattle up here. They're a little bit higher than we had them. We had them at 13th, but I do think it makes sense. And I think they dropped a little bit after they signed Brandon Marshall as well.
All right, so 10-1 odds. Let's take a look at another team with the same number, the Miami Dolphins, and Dez doesn't want to go to this train wreck. I'm sorry.
This is too high for Miami. I think this is Vegas trying to prey on they lost Jarvis Landry, and everyone forgets that they also signed Albert Wilson, and that they signed, I know Albert Wilson. I see the look on your face there. I know it's Albert Wilson, but they still gave him quite a bit of money, Cam.
No,
I know you don't like it.
The look on my face is signifying the poor leadership that the Miami Dolphins have. Does Dez really want to go there? Of course not. And he shouldn't even work out for the Dolphins, honestly.
If Devontae Parker gets hurt, I think it makes a lot of sense for Dez. But beyond that, I think Parker plays the role that Dez wants to play for an NFL team right now.
All right. So
maybe not as well.
Miami, we'll see what happens. 10-1 odds.
They got too many bodies as it is. I think they might cut Deontay Crew, a former high third-round pick out of Rutgers.
8-1 odds here. We got the New England Patriots, and in my own personal rankings, I have New England at number 1, Tom.
Yes.
It's a classic New England move. Having them at 8-1 odds, I'm throwing some money down on that.
They were 6th for us, so Vegas is even a little bit lower than we are. Everyone tries to point to the Julian Edelman suspension. I don't know how much that actually impacts Dez and the Patriots.
Easy
they
to
play
say.
very different roles.
Yep.
Dez is an outside guy who didn't play that many slots, even though I think he can be a slot guy. Dez is outside. Edelman's a slot guy. So you're not really replacing the same type of player. And I think it's potentially a big year for Chris Hogan if you do see Edelman suspended for those first 4 games. They brought in Jordan Matthews. They seem to like Kenny Britt for some reason, even though I'd gladly trade Kenny Britt for Dez Bryant in a heartbeat if I were the Patriots.
I agree.
So I think it'd be a good fit. I think Dez would like to go to New England because it'd be a good chance to kind of salvage his career. But I don't know if the Patriots feel the same way, given the way that they like to have more of a shorter dink and dunk offense at times.
Horizontal passing offense.
Get the ball to Gronk, get the ball to Edelman, White, and even Sonny Michel in the backfield this year as well. So I think it'd be a match, but I don't know if the Patriots feel the same way.
All right, take a look at the top weapons there. You got Gronk, of course, Julian Edelman, little asterisk next to him as he undergoes that suspension there, and we'll see if that is reduced or whatever the case may be. Now, with that general philosophical question here, Tom, Dez Bryant and where he ranks among wide receivers as we stand, top 20, top 30, top 40, worse than that?
I still think he's at least a top 40 guy. And I don't think he's a number one. I don't think there are truly 32 number ones either. But we can go through some of these depth charts. And even though Dez dropped a lot of balls last year, he's still better than a lot of these teams' top receivers, at least some of these guys. We'll get to a team here in a second that I think desperately needs Dez Bryant. He'd be the best option out there at wide receiver for them. But there are a lot of teams with very iffy wide receiver depth charts. Some of them have really talented depth. For example, the Pittsburgh Steelers, heck, even the Cleveland Browns, for example.
Sure.
But I think you can make an argument Dez is a top 40 guy. I'm not putting him in the top 20 for sure, though.
All right, hit us up in that reaction poll there. Be sure to let us know what you think. Let's take a look at the next team on the list. 15-2 odds, the Buffalo Bills. We had them at number one, Tom.
I saw some comments in there about Buffalo being a fit for Dez, and guys, I completely agree. You look at this depth chart for Buffalo at wide receiver, it is an absolute mess. Kelvin Benjamin, Zay Jones, Andre Holmes, Jeremy Curley, and Rod Streeter. Robert Foster, who had 14 catches last year for Alabama, was getting some work with the number one team.
That's pretty pukey.
It's a disastrous wide receiver depth chart. If something happens to LaShawn McCoy, the Bills are done for at wide receiver, or just on the offense in general.
Yep.
I think Dez is a better player than Kelvin Benjamin. I don't really trust Benjamin all that much. I know that Dez has drop issues, but I trust him a little bit more than I trust Benjamin. I like Charles Clay as a tight end, but he's not like a top 5 guy tight end.
No.
Like, he's not even a Delaney Walker type player. And Zay Jones has had a pretty rough offseason overall. So if I'm Buffalo, I'm trying to go get Dez Bryant, because are you going to throw Josh Allen into the starting, area with those guys at receiver? It'd be an absolute mess. So I think Dez in Buffalo should be way higher than number 7, because Dez got to be thinking, hey, I can be a top guy here all of a sudden. I can be the guy.
Yeah, here's the thing, Tom. Does Dez want to play in all that lake effect snow?
Oh, it's fine.
He's a Texas guy.
He'll be fine.
He doesn't want to go play in Buffalo. Nobody wants to go to Buffalo.
Okay, that's true. I've been to Buffalo, and Bill's Mama's going to hate me for it. It's kind of a bland city.
There you go. See, Dez doesn't want to go there.
The wings,
I'm sure, are fine. Yeah, whatever. But other than that,
it's the NFL. Go to the team that can make you the most money.
I'll tell you what, this team could certainly make Dez Bryant a rich man. The San Francisco 49ers, they have a lot of salary cap space to do it. Now, whether or not John Lynch has the interest is the big question.
You're the host of the 49ers show, and you've kind of made this critique a couple times. The Niners seem to like their young wide receiver core, which I'm sure they do, but you could do better with Dez. Is kind of my mindset.
The only thing is, and I've said this so many times, does bringing in Dez Bryant throw a wrench into the progress that you have made with your wide receivers as we stand? Does he kind of affect the leadership in that locker room, the chemistry in that locker room, and so on and so forth? I talked about how they love Richie James, they love Dante Pettis, Trent Taylor should have maybe a sneaky Pro Bowl type of campaign this year. Just saying. Marquise Goodwin, he's electric. Pierre Garçon should lead the team in reception. So there's no reason to bring in Dez. And I've seen a lot of Niner Empire chime in on the 49ers report. We don't want him. We don't want the distraction.
I think I get the distraction side. I get the chemistry and all that. I do think that you'll see several NFL teams as they get actually in a training camp and the pads go on and go, oh, yeah, this is why the guy fell to round 7.
Right.
Like,
I get that.
Maybe we shouldn't be as in love with those first-year players as we are initially after the NFL draft. So I get the mindset of, oh, you don't need him right now. I think that's going to change for several teams on this list as we get further and closer in to the actual NFL season.
All right. Be sure to let us know about those 49ers. I'm sure a lot of Niner Empire is watching right now. All right, let's summarize the latest Vegas odds here with Dez Bryant. We'll start things off with the field, 30-1 odds, Eagles at 18-1, Panthers at 18-1. Then 14 through the T11 we have the Broncos, Jaguars, Cardinals, and Raiders there. And then Seahawks, Dolphins, Patriots, Buffalo Bills, and the San Francisco 49ers. You guys are watching NFL Daily presented by Man Crates. Do you know an awesome guy who needs a gift? At Man Crates, gifts are carefully curated like a museum, but actually exciting. They've got personalized barware, jerky grams, and project kits to delight any guy out there. Mancrates.com. Awesome gifts guys love here on NFL Daily.
And if you need a birthday gift for your man in your life, don't get him another tie. Get him the perfect gift, a Man Crate. You even drop a hint to the lady in your life and end up with one of your own.
And if you're a little late to the party with Father's Day,
yes, Tom, make up for it and get your dad a Man Crate.
Mancrates.com. All right, with that, let's get into the big-time favorites for Dez Bryant. If you're going off the Vegas odds, we will start things off in the NFC East and talk about the Washington Redskins. At number 5, they have 5-1 odds to sign this guy. Now, there has been very little interest from the Washington side of things in terms of bringing in Dez Bryant. They want to see what they have in Jamison Crowder another year as perhaps becoming that number 1 wide receiver. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Trey Quinn's getting hyped up, Mr.
Trey
Irrelevant.
Quinn, there you go. So, I mean, it can happen, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised Washington is so high. They were number 11 in our rankings, and I get that Dez wants to play against his old NFL team and the Cowboys, but I don't know if it's necessarily an ideal fit. From Washington's perspective, do they really need to go get another receiver right now? I don't think that's a huge area of need for them at the moment.
Paul Richardson as well in town. I think
we'll see
they're okay at wide receiver as we stand. So 5-1 odds, taking a look here at the next team on the list. And we're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers at 4-1 odds. The Jason Witten prediction team, Tom.
I think it makes sense, and I would have felt a lot better if the Packers hadn't drafted a bunch of different receivers. Jamon Moore out of Missouri is very much a Cortland Sutton light. They got Trevor Davis. They got my boy EQ St. Brown. I think Dez would be a fantastic fit on Green Bay's roster, Cam, because just think about it. You get in the red zone. You got Devontae Adams. You got Randall Cobb. You got Jimmy Graham and Dez Bryant. Have fun stopping that offense. Ty Montgomery on third downs as well. That's a really dangerous offense out there. Now, if Yancey or Valdez-Scantling doesn't turn out, maybe it makes some more sense. But Packers have a lot of young wide receivers. That's, I think, why they're 4th and not number 1 on this list. But I think it'd be a fantastic fit if Dez Bryant can get over the mental hurdle of the catch, no catch.
Looks like a pretty good lineup, Tom.
That's loaded, man.
Pretty good.
That's fun.
Adams, he can catch the touchdowns like the best of them out there. Graham, of course, is solid at tight end. So a lot of good pieces there. Green Bay is at 4-1 odds. The Giants of New York are at 3-1, $8.4 million in salary cap space. No more Brandon Marshall, but they signed Russell Shepard, so what's the point?
And Cody Lattimore.
Oh, and that guy.
Lattimore, excuse me. Yeah, so there's 2 ways to look at this. One, this offense would be incredible. Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram, Dez Bryant. That's stacked. It's also almost too stacked. How do you get all of those guys the touches that you want them to have and that they earn and have deserved? Like, this is an unstoppable 3rd and long passing attack. You can't cover all 5 of those guys at once.
That's fair.
There's just no way. But
does Eli have the protection to actually find those guys?
That's a fair question, too. And also, what happens if Dez Bryant gets 3 catches for 2 straight weeks? Does he start to complain a little bit? How does Evan Ingram feel after having a really good year last year as a first-year tight end? How does he feel about something taking a step back? Sterling Shepard seems to be a very low-key type of guy. How does he handle getting less touches? And Odell Beckham, by the way, of course, is in a contract here. So he wants to put up huge numbers, too.
Well, it sounds like you're in the camp of, well, maybe Dez and Odell can't get along.
I think they get along off the field, but my concern is that what happens if Dez Bryant has 8 targets and 2 catches and Odell Beckham has 12 and 8?
They don't want a repeat of like the Eli Apple cancer kind of thing.
Yeah, they got to be careful in that locker room.
It could be 2.0 if Dez goes to the Giants and things go awry real quick.
Totally true.
So keep that in mind. 3-1 odds, Tom. You throwing any money down on that?
I consider it. The odds aren't great, but it's not quite the most in favor odds. So it's worth considering. Okay. I don't mind that. I think that the Giants of the NFC teams make the most sense.
All right, let's take a look at a Texas team not named the Dallas Cowboys, the Houston Texans. And with them, they have 2-1 odds to land Dez Bryant. Now, I like this. I'm on board with Vegas in regards to this selection here, and I like DeAndre Hopkins a lot, Will Fuller as well, but Deshaun Watson going to Dez Bryant on the outside. It just seems tempting to me because, let's be honest, the tight ends in the red zone, Tom, they're going to do nothing.
Houston has a very big hole at tight end, which is why I think it does make some sense for Dez Bryant. They also are kind of focused on getting some more slot guys. They kept Bruce Ellington. They brought in Kiki Cutie. I don't know if Dez is an ideal fit from the receiver perspective, but I think from the overall offense, it does make some sense. But you mentioned this with the Giants, Cam. Who blocks for Houston? That's a bigger concern.
Yeah.
Now, you can bring in more skill players, that's fine, and this is very much a fun offense in Houston, regardless of not having much of that at tight end, but I'd be more worried about that offensive line.
The Giants at least have a somewhat capable tackle in Nate Solder.
Yes.
The Texans had one in Dwayne Brown, and they traded him away, so now they're left with nothing.
Not ideal.
Yeah. All right, so the Texans have the second best odds. Let's take a look at the Tennessee Titans because they check in at number 1 with 1 to 2 odds to land Dez Bryant. Wow.
This was a real surprise.
Just wow.
This is why we did this segment today, because you have to put down $200 just to win 100. Those are the odds-on favorite. It's not like it's like, oh yeah, the Giants are 3-1, Houston, Tennessee are both 2-1. Vegas seems to think that Dez Bryant's going to end up in Tennessee. And last week on the show, he said, hey, Dez in Tennessee, I called them the sleeper team.
Yeah.
Apparently
but
not anymore.
A Vegas
Apparently
favorite.
the outright favorite.
Unbelievable. I mean,
I like it, though. I like it a lot. Corey Davis, Taylor stays on the inside. Dez Bryant's on the outside. Rashard Matthews is now your number 4 receiver. You keep Tajay Sharp, maybe a Michael Campanaro to help out on special teams. And then you have Delaney Walker as well. Deion Lewis on third downs. This offense is loaded again. I have high predictions this year for Tennessee. You get Dez Bryant, I feel even better about it.
But the Vegas favorites,
I just
surprised. Can't buy into that.
That's why I'm not putting money on it, because I like them a lot more as a sleeper team, not the odds-on favorite.
I'll buy into the sleeper team kind of narrative there. So 1 to 2 odds to land Dez Bryant. We want you guys weighing in as well. Which team is the best fit for Dez? Titans, Texans, Giants, Packers? Those are the 4 favorites, folks, so hit those reaction buttons or hit us up in comments with another team in mind. People are going to ask about Dallas. Tom, go ahead.
It's not going to happen. That bridge has been nuked. As for the best fit for Dez himself, it's Green Bay.
I agree.
Aaron out there, and a loaded offense outside of it. That's the best fit for him.
All right, the full-on summary here for Dez Bryant. The entire field, that obviously does not include the teams we talk about coming up here. Dallas included in there, folks.
Yeah, they're not. It's not happening, guys.
Eagles, Panthers, 18-1. You got the Broncos, Jaguars, Cardinals, and Oakland Raiders. The next slate of 4 here. And then you got Seattle, Miami, New England, Buffalo, and the 49ers. I guess some sleepers here if you want to go by Vegas. And then the top 5 teams: Redskins, Packers, Giants, Houston Texans, and the Tennessee Titans there, the favorite to land Dez Bryant.